Hi, good evening. I am Poem Praise to Peace and blessings to you. I do have an evening read for you this evening. We are going to be coming out of Lies My Teacher Told Me by James Lowen. Yeah, we are on take number 5 of this chapter. Chapter number 6, John Brown and Abraham Lincoln. The invisibility of anti-racism in American history textbooks. Without further ado, I'm going to grab my marker. Well, not a marker, but it's a pencil, y'all, for my book. We're going to go ahead and get into, and it reads as such. Frequently, in American history, the ideological needs of white racists, and black nationalists coincide. So it was with their views of John Brown. During the heyday of the Black Power movement, I listened to speaker after speaker in a Mississippi forum denounce whites. They are your enemies, thundered one black militant. Not one white person has ever had the best interests of black people at heart. John Brown sprang to my mind, but the speaker anticipated my objection. You might say John Brown did, but remember, he was crazy. John Brown might provide a defense against such global attacks on whites, but unfortunately, American history textbooks have erased him as a usable character. No black person who met John Brown thought him crazy. Many black leaders of the day, Martin Delany, Henry Highland Garnet, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, and others, knew and respected Brown. Only illness kept Tubman from joining him at Harper's Ferry. The day of his execution, black-owned businesses closed in mourning across the North. Frederick Douglass called Brown one of the greatest heroes known to American fame. A black college deliberately chose to locate at Harper's Ferry, and in 1918, its alumni dedicated a memorial stone to Brown and his men to commemorate their heroism. The stone started in part that this nation might have a new birth of freedom, that slavery should be removed forever from American soil. John Brown and his 21 men gave their lives. Quite possibly, textbooks should now portray this murderer as a hero. Although other murderers, from Christopher Columbus to Nat Turner, get the heroic treatment. However, the flat prose that textbooks use for Brown is not really neutral. Textbook authors withdraw a sympathy from Brown is perceivable, perceptible. Their tone in presenting him is different from the tone they employ for almost everyone else. We see this, for instance, in their treatment of his religious beliefs. John Brown was a serious Christian, well read in the Bible, who took its moral commands to heart. Yet every recent textbook, except Pathways to the Present, does not credit Brown with religiosity, but instead blames him for it. Brown believed that God had called on him to fight slavery. The Americans say twice. But Brown never believed God commanded him in the sense of giving him instructions. Rather, he thought deeply about the moral meaning of Christianity and decided that slavery was incompatible with it. Borstein and Kelly calls Brown the self-proclaimed anti-slavery Messiah. But Brown never thought of himself as a Messiah. On the contrary, he tried to get Frederick Douglass or Harriet Tubman to join him, believing enslaved African Americans would be much more likely to follow them than him. By the way of comparison, consider Nat Turner, who in 1831 led the most important slave revolt since the United States became a nation. John Brown and Nat Turner both killed whites in cold blood. Both were religious, but unlike Brown, Turner did see visions and hear voices. In most textbooks, Turner has become something of a hero. Several textbooks call Turner deeply religious or a gifted preacher. None call him a religious fanatic. They reserve that term for Brown. The closest any textbooks come to suggesting that Turner might have been crazy is this passage from American history. Historians still argue about whether or not Turner was insane. But the author immediately goes on to qualify. The point is that nearly every slave hated bondage. Nearly all were eager to see something done to destroy the system. Thus, even American history emphasizes the political and social meanings of Turner's act, not its physiological genesis in an allegedly questionable mind. The textbooks withdraw a sympathy from Brown is also apparent in what they include and exclude about his life before Harper Ferry. In the 1840s, he somehow got interested in helping black slaves, according to American Adventures. Brown's interest is no mystery. He learned it from his father, who was a trustee of Oberlin College, a center of abolitionist sentiment. If adventures wanted, it could have related the well-known story about how young John made friends with the black boy during the War of 1812, which convinced him that blacks were not inferior. Instead, it since read like a slur. Textbook authors made Brown's Potawatomi killings seem equally unmotivated by neglecting to tell that the violence in Kansas had hitherto been perpetrated primarily by pro-slavery side. Indeed, slavery sympathizers had previously killed 6 free soil settlers. Several months after Potawatomi at Osawatomie, Kansas, Brown had helped 35 free soil men defend themselves against several hundred marauding pro-slavery men from Missouri, therefore earning the nickname Osawatomie John Brown. Not one textbook mentions what Brown did at Osawatomie, where he was the defender, but 14 of 18 tell what he did at Potawatomi, where he was the attacker. Didn't mention the defender, but mentioned the attacker. Our textbooks also handicap Brown by not letting him speak for himself. Even his jailer let Brown put pen to paper. 12 of the 18 textbooks I studied do not provide even a phrase he spoke or wrote. Brown's words, which moved a nation, therefore cannot move most students today. I'm going to end this take right there for take number 5. Okay? Stay tuned to Poem Praise 2 for take number 6 that I will have for you, coming out of Lies My Teacher Told Me by James Lowen. Thank you for listening to this take. You can like, share, hit that notification bell. You'll know when Poem Praise 2, is coming with something new for you. I do want for you and your family to be well, to be safe, to be blessed, and it be at thy will. Poem Praise 2. I'll talk and I'll see you later, y'all. All right, till next time. Later, y'all.